Hashem Sfasai Tivtach Upiagita Asacha. We're now in the 8th parak of Ezra. In this parak, the first 14 psukim list all of the people who are going to go up with Ezra to Eretz Yisrael. And what's notable is that it's a little bit different than the other listing of the first grouping of the Shivas Tion, the Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. And that is, first of all, there are many less people. There are 12 families, and those families really represent each of the Shvatim. But as we'll see, the Shevet of Levi is not mentioned. They're not counted in. And it is a very sad grouping. In total, it's about 1,800 people. And in total males, and about 7,000, some say 9,000, but that's it. And b'tzam el hana'ar haba el ahava, and I assembled them near the river of Ahava, and we camped there for 3 days, and I reviewed the people and the Kohanim, but I didn't find any Leviim. So this is very disappointing. What's disappointing to Ezra is Ezra honestly felt that everyone would come. He really believed that there were going to be this amazing geula moment, and that was, he planned it, it's going to be in the month of Nisan. He planned it that he even asked he told the king that he doesn't need any bodyguards or any representation because it's good. We're going to be good. Hashem is going to make miracles. It's going to be literally like Yetzias Mitzrayim. And he really believed it to be so. There's that disappointing moment. You plan for a shir and you think, wow, it's a great speaker and everything's planned beautifully. And then like 3 people show up. And it's just like, oh, what a chabal. And then the shir is amazing. Like, oh, really? What a chabal. Like, oh my gosh. So multiply that by, 8 zillion. But I think that there's a big Musar Haskell here too. Ezra. It's Ezra. He's the one leading the pack. He's the one making this amazing thing. And what happens? He doesn't even get the Jews to come. Now, why is it that the Leviim don't come? So we have to analyze it a little bit. We have to either give them the benefit of the doubt, or we can kind of look at them and just use them as a representation of what the Jews in Galus are really all about. So first of all, he sends for all these people, Eliezer, Ariel, Shemaiah, El Nasan, all of them, and he instructs them, and he gives them orders to Edo, the leader, and he says, give them the message to tell Edo and his brother that they should bring people to be Misharsim Lebeis Elokeinu. Like, we need representation of the Shevet Levi. And so they do that. And finally, they get Machli ben Levi ben Yisrael, Sherbaya ubanav va'achav shmona esar. And so they get 18 in all. And from then they get from Chashvaya, V'ito, Yeshaya, Ben Merari, and they get Esrim, 20 in all. And so what we have now is we have 220 people that are going to be listed by name, and those are the officers from the Levium. So he gets some Levium. Now, why wouldn't the Levium come? So on the one hand, you could say the Levium, they were settled in Eretz Yisrael before. And what happened before? They didn't have their own land. And here in Galus, they could have their own land. They could have their own wealth. They don't have to just rely on the masros, on people's handouts. It's a different lifestyle, and they like this lifestyle, and they don't want to go back to not having their own land in their own place. Perhaps it also represents that the Levium were very poor. And so when they came to Bavel, they were poor. And so they never really were able to make it. So financially, it's just too hard for them to make this trip. They don't have what it takes to really make the trip. Or, if we've discussed before, and that is, remember, on Al Naharos Bavel, Yashavnu v'gam bachinu b'zachrinu v'tzion. What happened is, as they were leaving, and they were so depressed that they were leaving Eretz Yisrael, they didn't say that we're not going to sing. They said, how could we sing? Because what happened, that they were so depressed, and they didn't want to sing the beautiful songs that they were in charge of singing in the Beis Hamikdash. So instead, what they did was they bit off their thumbs in this basically a way to say, we are not going to play the instruments, and we're not going to be singing to you our beautiful songs for Nebuchadnezzar as a form of entertainment. And so for that reason, they were not ro'oi, they were not at the level that they could have been helpful back in Eretz Yisrael, so they just didn't come. And so really it's a very sorry state of affairs. And then in Pasuk 22, Ezra says, Bashti lish'ol min hamelach. I couldn't ask the king for soldiers and horsemen to protect us, because first of all, and this is the most important reason, he says, Yad Elokeinu al kol mavakshav l'tova. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's gonna protect us. We don't need your protection. He really feels that this is going to be, first of all, it's important to note that on some level, some people say that he was a Navi, he was Malachi. So if that's the case, then he knows we're going to be fine. But on a deeper level, he's saying, I don't need you, king. I only need the protection of Hashem. You're giving us, and this is a big Musar Haskel for all of us. On the one hand, we rely on political help from what's going on in politics and what goes on with different leaders and what's going on with the IDF and what goes on, and we really rely on them. On the other hand, no, Ezra is teaching us that's not the truth. If Hashem really wants something to happen, it happens. And I'm not going to ask for protection. I'm going to do my due diligence. We're going to stick together. We're going to walk, but this is a dangerous walk that can only be protected. We can only be protected by Yad of Hashem, only by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so he doesn't ask. And he's embarrassed also on a different level, because he really thought there were going to be more people. This is an embarrassing amount of people. This is not what should have shown up. What? Are you kidding? All you people are staying in Gullus, and the king is going to know you were given the chance to go back home and you didn't take it? What is wrong with you people? Very big Musar Haskel. And so what did we do? We fasted. So they waited around for 3 days. I think that one of the most significant pieces, and I haven't seen this, but it's just, it comes to mind, is where do they stop? They stop at the Nahar. What's the Nahar called? Ahava. Ahava, love. That is what it's all about. Really, before you go into something that's really that significant, you have to go, I always say, you have to understand, what's your goal? What do you want? And what does he want? He wants Ahava. He wants the Achdus of Klal Yisrael to come together. That when you're coming into Eretz Yisrael, and he knows what's going on in Eretz Yisrael, it's also, they're not doing so well. They're on a very low spiritual low. They're building everything up, and they're living it, but they're not really living the dream. They're not doing it the way it has to. And he wants so badly. He wants the Avas Yisrael to carry through, to be the real source of that's mamish. That's the geula. And so he waits there for 3 days. And during that 3-day period, he gathers everything. Everyone has to fast. You have to be in the right mentality when you're going into Eretz Yisrael. You have to be in the right mentality when you're entering into something, an opportunity of a lifetime. And so he selects 12 of the Kohanim, and also with their names are Shvaya and Chashvaya, and also their 10 brothers. And he weighs out the silver, the gold, the vessels, and he makes sure that they're in charge of it. Why? Because he says they are holy, and the Kalim are holy, meaning everyone's holy. But and he gives them a lift. The more that you give somebody an opportunity to do something, the more they feel really good, and he entrusts with them, and he entrusts. There's a lot of silver. And there's a lot of gold, and they're literally walking targets they're going into on a pathway that there could be bandits, there could be, if you think about all of the bad things that could happen on the way when you're literally a target, you're carrying kesef of zahab, most of you are women and children. It's like, this is not exactly, an easy trip and an easy thing that you even consider. But they weigh them out. Why? Because, again, when you care about something, you weigh it. You make sure, you delegate it, you take care of it. This is money that is precious money that is going to the Beis Hamikdash. This is holy. The money is holy. Everything that they're doing is holy. And he tells them you have to guard it very diligently. And this is not your money. You have to hold on to it. Be very, very careful with it. And the Kohanim and the Leviim are entrusted by that to bring to Yerushalayim. And then they set out again from this Ava River on the 12th of the first month. It's significant that we mention it as the 12th of the first month. It's not going to be the months as we're going to come when we get into Nehemiah. We're going to understand that the months are now the months now no longer from the Torah, but now they're given, the months of Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, etc. And they arrive in Yerushalayim and they stay there for 3 days. They're not ready to inculcate themselves into what's going on. They have to prepare. They have to, really get into the right mentality. And on the 4th day, that's when they go up, and they bring everything up to Yerushalayim, and they bring everything up, and they make karbanos, and they give 12 bulls for Yisrael, and they start to get into the karbanos, and they give over everything that they have to. Now, what's significant is, what is Ezra's job? So Ezra's job is really to infuse spirituality into what's going on, because they are not spiritual people. They're not spiritually uplifted. He's bringing back, his goal was to bring a huge amounts of aliyah, so that, and everyone should be biyachad together. Remember, the Ava River. But what he finds is that they're not there yet. They're missing that spirituality, and then that's his job. And so when he's bringing the karbanos, when he's bringing the gold and the silver, I think that that's even metaphorically what's going on. That a lot of the Torah, came from Galus. There were sources and a lot of deep spirituality that was happening in Bavel that wasn't happening in Eretz Yisrael, and you're bringing that. And it's coming, full circle, that now, we've got the 12 bulls, everyone from each of Klal Yisrael. And, the derivative of that is that, we're all coming together. That was his goal. That was his mentality. But he also knows that it's lacking. And so, all together, we need the Yad of Hashem. He needs to be able to do what he cut out to do with a lot less people and a lot of easy circumstances, not as easy circumstances. In life, we don't know, what challenges lie ahead. But he's, at many moments, he stops, he pauses, he considers before then entering. And that's a really big Musar Haskel. Don't just go into things, because life brings a significant amount of challenge. Don't just ride into it. Be thoughtful, prepare, delegate, include others. Make sure that you have the right intentions in mind. Make sure you have the right mindset in mind. And if you do that, then you're going to be ultimately as successful. He doesn't hit his mark. His dreams of grandeur, of the goals for Klal Yisrael fall short of their mark. But what doesn't fall short is his efforts. And he makes a significant effort. He doesn't say, forget it. If I'm not going to have it good, it's not going to be good anyway. He puts in full force effort, because he ultimately knows that this is something that's special anyway. Sometimes in life our dreams fall, and it is what it is. But if we regroup, if we pick up, if we complete our lives with flexibility and just appreciate what it is that we do have, then we go a long way. Now he uses the words, and these are, his words, mikaf oyev v'orev al haderech is the source. V'yatzilenu mikaf oyev v'orev al haderech is the source of Tfilas Haderech. Again, he's teaching us Ladoros. He's teaching us, when you go on a trip, don't think that, it's just going to be about the pilot, and it's just going to be about, the FDA approved No, it's not. It's from Hashem. And so he teaches us, and that's why we incorporate this in our Tfilas Haderech. Daven before you go on any trip. Daven for success before not only the trip, an actual trip, but in everything you do. And in that way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could be with you. He is a representation. He's called the Baruch Hashem man. Everything's Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Baruch Hashem. Please, Hashem, Baruch Hashem. And that is something that we have to emulate and follow. And let's see how this story unfolds in the next parak.